Mae Johnson, voted least likely to succeed by her classmates at Podunk High, has shocked everyone by dropping out of community college to follow her dreams in the big city. Will this small-town girl sink or swim in the shark-infested waters of Silicon Valley? Only time will tell, but we won't hold our breath. I crumpled the newspaper clipping in my fist, jaw clenched so tight my teeth ached. The faded newsprint, smuggled to me by my little sister, was already worn soft from obsessive rereading, the spiteful words etched into my brain like acid on steel. But I didn't need a physical reminder of my hometown's lack of faith. I carried it with me every day, a chip on my shoulder the size of Montana. The sneers, the snubs, the endless choruses of Daisy Mae, plain and tall, ain't never gonna amount to much at all. Well, fuck that and the John Deere tractor it rode in on. I was Daisy Mae goddamn Johnson, and I was gonna show them all. I was gonna build an empire right here in the heart of big tech, and I was gonna do it my way. The Podunk way. With nothing but grit, gumption, and a whole lot of duct tape. 10 years later, I stared down at a glossy magazine cover, my face staring back at me under the blaring headline. Daisy Johnson, Forbes Innovation Leader of the Year. I traced my finger over the shiny paper, marveling at the strange symmetry. A decade ago, I'd been a scruffy small-town refugee, washing dishes and crashing on couches while I poured my heart and soul into lines of code that would become my ticket out of obscurity. Now, I was Daisy Johnson, founder and CEO of Honeycrisp Technologies, the fastest-growing AI startup in the Valley. Daisy Johnson, the unlikely innovator who disrupted the tech bro paradigm with down-home charm and awshucks brilliance. Daisy Johnson, the girl who'd looked at a roomful of Ivy League snobs and good old boy VCs and said, "Y'all hold my beer and watch this." I set the magazine down on my handcrafted reclaimed wood desk, a DIY project that had sent my interior designer into a tailspin, and leaned back in my ergonomic chair, a slow grin spreading across my face. I'd done it. I'd proved every last one of those small-minded small-towners wrong. I'd built a tech empire with nothing but a second-hand laptop and a dream, and I'd done it all while staying true to my roots. No power suits or posh accents for me. I was still Daisy Mae through and through. Daisy Mae, with her faded flannel and her southern drawl and her unshakable belief that anything was possible if you worked hard enough and believed in yourself. Daisy Mae, the unlikely success story. The unlikeliest, some might say. But I knew better. I'd always known deep down that I was destined for more than Friday night football games and church socials. That the fire burning in my belly, the restless hum in my blood, the endless litany of what-ifs and why-nots swirling in my brain, they meant something. They meant I was different. Special. Chosen almost. Chosen to break the mold, to shatter expectations, to blaze a trail out of Podunk and into the annals of innovation. And blaze I had. With Honeycrisp, I'd created something truly revolutionary. An AI system that could adapt and evolve in real time, learning from its users and its environment to become smarter, faster, more intuitive with every interaction. It was the stuff of science fiction, the kind of breakthrough that would change the world as we knew it. And it had all sprung from the mind of little old Daisy Mae, the girl who'd been voted most likely to end up pregnant and barefoot by her 20th reunion. Well, the joke was on them now. Because at 28, I was childless by choice, my feet clad in limited edition cowboy boots that cost more than most of my former classmates made in a month. And my belly was swollen not with an unplanned pregnancy, but with the sweet satisfaction of hard-earned success. A polite cough interrupted my gloating. I glanced up to see my assistant, a whip-smart Harvard grad named Kennedy, hovering in the doorway. "Miss Johnson, your 2 o'clock is here," she said, her crisp enunciation a jarring contrast to my honeyed drawl. I straightened in my chair, smoothing my flannel shirt and adjusting my ponytail. "Send him in, darlin'. And how many times do I have to tell you to call me Daisy?" Kennedy flushed, ducking her head. "Right. Sorry, Daisy. Old habits." She disappeared, only to return a moment later ushering in a familiar figure in a bespoke Italian suit. My grin widened. Well, if it ain't Lucien Moreau, the big city banker come to pay his respects to the small-town girl made good. Lucien chuckled, crossing the room to shake my hand. "Daisy Mae, you're looking as radiant as ever. Congratulations on the Forbes feature. Well deserved, if I do say so myself." I raised an eyebrow. High praise, coming from the man who once told me I had more gumption than sense, and that I should stick to playing with my dolls instead of computers. Lucien had the grace to look chagrined. "Yes, well, Even the sharpest minds can be guilty of underestimating those they don't understand. A mistake I won't make again, I assure you. Uh-huh. I'm sure. I leaned back, eyeing him speculatively. So what brings you round these parts, banker man? Come to try and lowball me on a loan agreement again. Daisy, you wound me. Lucian clutched his heart in mock affront. I come bearing only the sincerest of partnership propositions. One I think you'll find quite appealing. I waved a hand. This ought to be good. Let's hear it, Slick. And so he launched into his pitch, all honeyed words and glittering promises, exclusive contracts, expanded markets, global reach. The keys to the tech kingdom, gift-wrapped and laid at my feet by the very institutions that had once laughed me out of the room. It was tempting. Oh, it was tempting. The chance to rub my success in the faces of all those stuffed shirts who'd dismissed me, to make them choke on their patronizing words and condescending chuckles. To force them to acknowledge, once and for all, that Daisy Mae Johnson was a force to be reckoned with. But as I listened to Lucian's spiel, a niggling sense of unease wormed its way into my gut. The price he was asking, it wasn't just money. It was control, autonomy, the very things that made Honeycrisp, and by extension me, so special. The things that made us undeniably, unapologetically podunk. Could I give that up? Trade my hard-won independence for a seat at the big boys' table, even if it meant muzzling my accent and dulling my edges to fit their mold? I thought of my daddy, with his rough hands and his gentle heart. Of my mama, who'd scrimped and saved to buy me my first computer, who'd stayed up late quizzing me on math problems and science terms. Of my grandma, who'd taught me to code on a clunky old Commodore 64, her eyes sparkling with pride as I made pixelated characters dance across the screen. They were the ones who'd believed in me when no one else had. The ones who'd fanned the flames of my ambition, who'd taught me that being different was a strength, not a weakness. That staying true to myself, to my roots, was the only way to make my mark on the world. And what a mark it was shaping up to be. Honeycrisp was changing lives, reshaping industries, redefining what was possible. We were on the cusp of something truly amazing, something straight out of my wildest podunk daydreams. Was I really willing to trade that, to compromise the very essence of who I was and what I'd built, just for a pat on the head from the powers that be? Fuck that. I tuned back in just as Lucian was winding down his pitch, his expectant gaze fixed on my face. I let the silence stretch, savoring the flicker of uncertainty in his eyes. Then I smiled, slow and sweet as molasses. Lucian, darlin', I'm afraid I'm going to have to pass on your mighty generous offer. His brow furrowed. But Daisy, this is the opportunity of a lifetime. A chance to take Honeycrisp to the next level, to achieve market dominance on a global scale dash. I held up a hand. Let me stop you right there, sugar. I ain't interested in market dominance or global reach or any of that Wall Street mumbo-jumbo. I built Honeycrisp to make a difference, to change lives for the better. And I'll be damned if I let some fancy New York bankers tell me how to run my company. Lucian sputtered, his smooth veneer cracking. Daisy, be reasonable. You're a brilliant woman, but you're out of your depth here. You need us, need our resources and connections dash. Like hell I do. I stood, bracing my hands on the desk, my voice hardening to steel. I got this far on my own, with nothing but grit and gumption and a whole lot of sweet tea. I didn't need y'all's fancy degrees or fat checkbooks then, and I damn sure don't need 'em now. I lifted my chin, looking him dead in the eye. I'm Daisy Mae fucking Johnson, the pride of Podunk, Montana. The unlikely innovator, who built an empire out of scrap metal and sheer force of will. And I bow to no one, least of all some slick city boy who underestimated me from day one. Lucian gaped at me, his mouth opening and closing like a landed trout. I let my grin widen, my eyes sparking with triumph. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a world to change and a legacy to build. Feel free to see yourself out. And Lucian, I paused, my voice dripping with false sweetness. Y'all have a nice day now, you hear? With that, I turned on my hand-tooled heel and sauntered out, leaving him sputtering in my wake. As the door swung shut behind me, I let out a whoop of laughter, giddy with the thrill of victory. I'd done it. I'd stared down the big bad bankers and emerged unscathed, my integrity intact and my podunk pride untarnished. I'd proven, once again, that Daisy Mae Johnson was a force to be reckoned with, a rising tide in a sea of carbon copy sharks. And I was just getting started. The world hadn't seen anything yet. Because if there was one thing this small-town girl knew how to do, it was dream big and fight dirty. Honeycrisp was going to change everything. And it was going to do it the Podunk way, with heart and hustle and a whole lotta fuck you spirit. I couldn't wait to see the look on their faces when I unveiled my next project, the one that would make AI accessible to every working-class kid with a spark of genius. The one that would level the playing field and shatter the glass ceiling into a million glittering shards. The one that would cement my legacy as the unlikeliest of innovators, the small-town dreamer who'd conquered the tech world on her own damn terms. I smiled to myself as I strode down the hallway, my ponytail swinging and my cowboy boots clicking on the polished concrete. Look out, Silicon Valley. Mae Johnson is coming for ya. And she ain't talking no prisoners.